Chad, do you have anything to say?
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. You're god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. Call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments.
He basically comes at you with the bat. You gotta tell him to put it down. You gotta spread it, like, what are you gonna do about it? Yeah. And then he just came at you. You shot him. Yeah. Okay.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me. Put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me. Put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
Welcome everybody to Difficult Research. My name is Cresha Easton. Today is August 22nd, 2023, and we are going to continue on with Visions of Glory by Tom Harrison. It's Tom Harrison's Visions, and it's written by John Pontius, who was the ghostwriter. This is John Pontius right here. He died back in, right after the book was released. And as you all know, the book was underneath Lori's leg in Hawaii whenever they served her with the papers to produce the children within 5 days. So we're going to pick up at You Are Learning Forever Part 1. John says, here is one of the interesting things I heard coming out of your description. You said that when you came out of that conference center, Having seen Christ, having seen a vision of all that you're going to do, you said, quote, my faith was perfect then, unquote. Yet when you arrived in Cardston, it was far more perfect. Which reminds me of far more dark and far more sinister, the dream I had from my Uncle Charles right after he was murdered, right? So, yet when you arrived in Cardston, it was far more perfect. You had learned that God would supply your needs, that He would intervene with miracles, that He would raise your dead, that He would turn aside the armies. And you said then, truthfully, our faith is perfect. Spencer says, it is different, John, in hearing the word and practicing it. John says, and when you got to Zion, even having walked in pillars of fire, having given all, having been stripped of everything celestial, then you said, quote, and our faith is perfect, unquote. And this time you added something. You said, quote, but I didn't realize that there was still more, unquote. And so here you are, going through portals, receiving your assignments face to face from Jesus Christ, okay? And having all of that faith and perfectness of knowledge. And yet there was more. You found out later you didn't need portals, right? Spencer says, what did Joseph tell us? What did Joseph Smith learn? Initially, he was pretty bound to that Urim and Thummim. And a Urim and Thummim is basically like Chad's pendulum, okay? And pretty soon he could just receive it by closing his eyes or by opening his eyes. You learn the process. John says, because the power is not in the portal, it's in Jesus Christ. And the portal is a teaching tool. That's bothersome, y'all. Anyways, Spencer says, right? John says, so later on you had these little stones, Urim and Thummims. You could use them just like a portal. And then you found out after that you didn't even need the Urim and Thummim. It is like the Liahona. And when you said, and I went and read the Liahona, I'm telling you, it is all code talk, guys. And then you said, our faith is perfect. But then in the last part of the book, tell us about bringing the city to the glorified earth. Now this is bringing in the New Jerusalem. This is bringing forth the city of Zion. This is the same thing that everybody has projected and put onto Chad and Lori. Okay. But this book came out way before Chad and Lori. As a matter of fact, I'd go so far to say that this book has led Chad and Lori. Spencer says, after many years, it seemed like many years. All the signs were there. All the processes were there. We had Christ with us. Came and go. It says came and go, not come and go. But still, we knew that the fullness, spelled with one L, had not arrived completely. Then we saw the glorious process of the heavens opened up and Christ come to Zion. The next talk point says, a glimpse of his second coming in glory. John says, why don't you take a moment and tell us what the second coming is like? I should not have skipped that. Spencer says, quote, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus is the Christ, unquote. I never did like how they all say Jesus is the Christ. I don't know. It rubs me wrong because they're not the only ones. Anyways, there's a long pause. How do you explain that, John? Then there's a long pause. He comes in the clouds of heaven with all of those that we love and with all the saints that have passed on in all their glory. He comes and redeems this earth and redeems us in its fullness, and we are all lifted up upon that cloud or upon those clouds, and the earth is purified and made celestial. It is everything that you can imagine it to be and everything that you cannot imagine it to be, for it is the culmination of all of his work, all that he said, all that the Father has given him, all that he ever promised, and all that will ever be promised. But still, there was more yet to learn. Still, there was more glory to be had. Still, there were more eternities in front of us that we had realized and that we had to go through because we needed to be perfected even more. The next part is You Are Learning Forever, Part 2. John says, that is what I liked about it, was no matter where you arrived, no matter how perfect you thought your faith was then, there was still more. There was still more learning. There was still more glory, still more grace, still more atonement. There just was no end. Spencer says, that was a glorious thing. The glorious thing that I experienced was that you are learning forever, and there is so much to learn. There is an eternity to learn. John says, if you have questions and, quote, the angels, unquote, come to you and handed you the flaming pen, write them down, hand them to Shane and Eric. We will try to answer one or two of them. The next talk point is experiencing a partial return of the 10 tribes. John says, okay, here's a good question. Can you comment on the 10 tribes? Spencer says, I was only able to see what I had to do with, and I knew our trek up to Cardston. When we got to Cardston, there were gatherings taking place all throughout the world, and there were individuals coming from the North Country. There were individuals coming from all over the earth, underneath the earth, and above the earth. For anything that has ever been attached to the earth, that has anything to do with the earth, anything that Christ has created, he will and must also redeem. The next talk point, what I cannot reveal. John says, question, is the book Visions of Glory complete, or are there other events you haven't recorded in the book? Spencer says, I would say that the book is about 40%. John says, you told me about 30%, and they wrote chuckle, like John chuckled. And that is the impression that I got too. As a matter of fact, I took out a number of things because I felt that it was too precious to put on paper. And see, what's funny is whenever there's any kind of negative criticism or any kind of criticism of the Visions of Glory book or of Tom Harrison, they project it and blame it on to John. Like John, I've had people in my comments already saying that, oh, that Tom didn't want John to write that in this book, but he wrote it and it's John put that in there. Either way, nobody takes freaking responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So Spencer said, it would be totally inappropriate for me to ever share what I learned in the conference center that day. And this is where, in my opinion, this is where the deception, another deception comes in, because John says, and see, that would not be appropriate because these visions are about Spencer. But here we are today sharing them with this 550 people in the audience. And, on the front of the book, it says sold over 100,000 copies in 5 years. This is the 5-year anniversary edition. Okay. So, it gets out. So Spencer says, quickly asserting, and that was it. It was just about what I was able to experience. And I don't know how that would relate to you, brothers and sisters. I hope that something that we have said tonight has touched you. But more importantly, I hope that the Spirit has touched your heart to give you courage to be all that you are, and that all of you will seek to hear the voice of the Lord speak your name. John says, so in writing this book, we say several times that it is not a prophecy for the church. I'm going to say it for everyone in the back. This is not a prophecy for the church. Since the church won't freaking do it, I'll say it. I'll reemphasize it. That it is not an attempt to study the ark. It is not scripture. It is not anything other than your experience, which you have been given permission now to put on paper for other people to feel that the spirit of that work and perhaps seek their own Mahoronrai. Y'all know I don't know how to say that. Mahonrai Moriankamer. I think I said it right. Mahonrai Moriankamer experience. So that they can say, Lord, show thyself unto me. And that's in quotes. Quote, Lord, show thyself unto me. Unquote. What to say to a loved one who does not believe is the next talk point. John, any other questions? This is an interesting one. It says, quote, my dad is dying and he has no understanding or belief in an afterlife. Despite my many times bearing testimony of these things, what is the one or best thing I can say to him? There's a long pause. He says, I would think the best thing that you could say to him is, quote, Dad, I love you, and my faith is big enough for both of us. And through my faith, you will see. And when you see, know I am open, and you can come back anytime, and I am ready to learn from you, unquote. The next talk point is the 144,000, the preparation and work. And this would be Lori and Chad Daybell. Okay. So we'll pick up there. And I just want to thank you guys for, going through this with me. I know it's difficult, but it just seems to be easier doing it together, So justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. And remember that love always wins. You guys are proof of this.